I'm also recording audio.
Okay. We good. We tight.
Okay.
We good?
Yep.
1, 2, 3, clap, clap, clap.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Wicked Funny Podcast. I'm your host, Brian Bowden. With me, as always, is Frank Gazzero
Hello.
and Katie Arroyo.
Hello.
How are you guys doing?
What about the other
Pretty
person?
good.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even pitch it. Katie!
No,
Jesus Christ.
what about
Guys-
the other person on the podcast right now?
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry, everybody. We're doing this all shot quad today. We have a very special guest because it is one of our movie episodes coming up. We will be rating James and the Giant Peach from Patreon member Nick DiCarlo. And joining us for our movie episodes, as always, Katie's boyfriend, Josh. How are you, Josh?
Great. Good morning.
That's good. Good morning is right.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, coming up, we will have James and the Giant Peach. But before that, we're going to... Katie, go ahead. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
Guys, we started our multi-level marketing scheme of of creating different tiers in our Patreon, and
That's not what that means.
I know it just reminds me of it because it's multi-level. So there's multiple tiers now for the Patreon.
There are.
And I said I would send people handwritten cards, and I honestly, I'm guys, very flattered / surprised that you guys signed up for that level, and I've actually had to send out a bunch of cards, which is crazy.
That's
and I'm
great.
like really writing them like I'm writing to my buds, like I'm telling people I'm so proud of
That's
you,
great.
thank you so
Wow.
much, or like
Wow.
yeah.
I want
So
to get you a feather pen. That way,
I
when you write it,
always
you'll be able to
wanted
pen
one.
it.
You mean
Yeah.
a quill?
Like
Yeah.
a quill,
Yeah.
a little quill.
And then when she's done, she can stick it in her hat and call it macaroni.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So for this week, I want to give a huge shout out to Jeffrey Pollock for joining the Katie level, Kurt Harrell for joining the Katie level, and we do have another daddy in the house. Shout out to Justin Springer.
Hell yeah.
Justin
Yeah.
Springer's back, baby. Justin
That's
Springer's
right.
back. As
Woo.
sober as Frank. And
Yeah.
and on daddy level, can't wait to see what movie Justin's going to come up with.
Yeah.
I cannot wait for this. But we had a lot going on. And we have a couple big announcements. We have the show
Yeah,
January
you guys heard about the
22nd.
show?
You guys heard about that. And we got that coming up. And Katie finally went to the doctor
I
get-
did.
to get tested for ADHD.
Ta-da. Yeah.
Wow.
Congratulations,
Thank you.
Katie. Now,
Yeah.
can you walk us through this? What happened? So you went to the doctor.
Yeah, so I went to my regular doctor a long time ago, and I said, I think I'm suffering from ADHD. And I found out later that she wrote in the note, she told me, I can give you a prescription, but I do not diagnose. So you have to get a diagnosis from somebody else, and then I can manage your prescription for it. So they have a therapist within the office that will see you and diagnose you.
Mm-hmm.
And the therapist told me that not only did this doctor like not respond, like all she needed to do was write back to the therapist and tell her what I needed, and she just wasn't doing it for like 3 months.
Dude, what is it with therapists and not
I
doing
don't
shit like this?
know.
My fucking guy, Dr. Lime Cooler, that piece of shit. That guy still hasn't sent my reports to the.
It's so weird.
Do you still see this guy, Brian?
No, I don't. I'm seeing another guy.
Yeah, I mean, you have to, I think sometimes. That's how I ended up getting my appointment so quick. Like, they gave me the appointment like 5 days after I finally reached them, because I had to call the office and I said, I want to request another provider, which is like, it looks shitty to your boss when people request to be moved away from you. So the lady was like, what? Do you want to be moved? And I go, she's like, are you requesting that move? I go, I'm requesting that you find a provider who's capable of walking down the hall and answering the fucking therapist who I know works in the same building, like in the same floor.
Yeah, that's
office.
fucked up. That is
Yeah.
fucked up.
So I finally got my appointment with a therapist who I love. I actually just like want to see her for weekly therapy. I don't know if she also does.
I want you
that.
to see her for weekly therapy too.
Everybody
Yeah,
does.
I think you should do that.
Yeah.
We all support that.
Yeah.
But she
We all want you to
She
fix
doesn't-
your brain.
As
Yeah.
long as long as she doesn't think I'm doing anything wrong, because I'm not, because I'm cool, baby.
Yeah, exactly. So she met with me, and she normally will do like an hour of discussion with you and ask you a bunch of questions, and you tell her what you think is going on and blah blah blah. And then she will decide if she feels like A, it's nothing, B, it could be ADHD, but it also could be baseline anxiety because Brian, and listeners who also have suffered from ADHD, it can present itself very similarly to traditional chemical anxiety. So she says if she's not sure about that, then she'll send you to this like neurological place, which I think is what you had done, right, Brian?
Yeah, I went through a whole rigmarole of tests
Yeah.
and whatnot. Yeah.
So she said the third option is she talks to you and she gets a pretty clear understanding that as long as you're telling the truth, what you are saying is pretty clearly ADHD. So I went and just basically told her about my life for like an hour. And
You
at the
must
end
have
of
loved that.
of course I did.
Did you tell her you were a
And
narcissist too?
she knows.
She figured it out.
You figured
Yeah,
it out.
she's not stupid. That's why I want to see her. So she at the end of the thing, she was like, okay, here are your options. And I was like, here we go. Like, she doesn't think it or whatever. And she goes, this sounds pretty clear cut to me. And then she was listing all of my symptoms. And then at one point she goes, and no offense, you talk fast.
Yep.
I was like, yeah, I know.
Right? Because you know what? I think it's important, and we should do this more often on this podcast, is highlight other symptoms of ADHD, because it's not just forgetting stuff. It's not
No.
just locking yourself out of your house every once in a while. There's a lot of other things
It's
attached to it.
impulsiveness. It's panicking about things sometimes because you can't focus and it makes you
Yep.
anxious.
That
Yeah.
constant need to be on the go,
Yeah.
like get things done right away.
I
Yeah.
had an experience with Josh where we got in a fight and the lady described something to me and she was like, sometimes she goes, sometimes people with it she kind of did the psychic thing where she didn't like tell me too much because she didn't want to like feed a symptom to me and then have me be like, yeah, that one. So she would ask me questions and stuff, and then we were talking and she goes, sometimes people with ADHD, because they take in literally everything, like a normal person or a neurotypical person would be like, right now in this situation, they're like, I see the monitor that I'm talking to the people on, and I see maybe my microphone, and that's like all I'm thinking about. But if you have an ADHD brain, you're like, that light's weird. Oh, that button's funny. I wouldn't know how to run that. That monitor's crazy. I forgot. I just needed to call this, whatever. So she said when you're driving, or just like in general, she's like, you can have all these things coming into your brain, and it's like too much for your brain to process because there's no filter of what's important or not important.
Yeah, and the brain
And
doesn't know what to
literally,
keep and what to get rid of.
yeah, and it just fucking freaks out. And I've had that happen to me while I've been driving before, and I didn't even think of that as ADHD, honestly. But
Yeah.
I've never had someone so clearly say that, where like if I've had like, how Waze will like turn the road funny for 1 second, and I think a normal person probably could just like forget that image. You know what I mean? My brain was like, oh, that was turned weird. It's turned left. And then I'm like, well, Josh is pointing here. And I asked him straight, and the car behind me is honking, and the car in front of me is braking, and there's a stop sign, and it said turn right, but that's more of a U-turn. What it really, in my brain, like literally, and then Josh started yelling. And so that yelling was coming into my mind. And I was literally like, I just couldn't make a decision of what to do because I wasn't even like processing
what in that instance is that she asked me, oh, how do I get to the highway, as she goes,
I mean,
I'm putting in
I think this just sounds like a woman driver more than ADHD.
so
Yeah, I mean,
she
it could
asked
just
me
have to do with your
specifically,
vagina.
Yeah.
how do you think to get to the highway? And she's typing it into Waze, the actual place we're going, and I go, well, the on ramp's right up there. And so I'm pointing straight, like trying to point out in front of her face so that she sees my finger. But then like Waze pops up, tells her to go right. And then she starts going right. And I go, no, it's right there. Look, there's a sign that says the on ramp. And then she just hits the brake, starts swerving left and right. And I go, what are you doing? There's somebody behind you. You can't do that. And then she ultimately takes a left.
Yeah,
So the
because
two options were right or straight, and she went
but
left
like
and
if
then got mad at
I'm
me.
driving by myself, like then and that has happened where I'm like, I'm overwhelmed by what's going on. I have no, and Josh and I have argued about this before. If I miss a turn, I am not going to I'm not going to make a quick choice to correct that turn. I'm like, you know what, just drive straight for a couple minutes, fucking figure out what's going on and turn around, and it's not a big deal.
You know what? That happened. We were on the phone one time when I was coming home from a show in upstate. I think I was performing in Saratoga or something,
Yeah.
and I took the wrong exit to go towards Syracuse.
Mm.
And I talked to you on the phone for like
Yeah.
45 minutes going in the wrong direction.
Oh God, I've done that. Yeah.
Yeah, I was on the phone with you the whole time. I'm like,
we were
Katie.
talking for a long time.
I'm like,
yeah.
oh, Katie, I'm near Syracuse. And you're like,
I thought you.
you're like, what?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I just
like,
saw the
that's not
sign
good.
for Syracuse. I'm like, I've never
Yeah.
seen it out here before on the
And
turnpike.
I've done that. I've done that to myself numerous times, and I didn't even think of that as ADHD. I thought of it as just like I'm flaky. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's
Like-
a lot of things,
Yeah.
ADHD. When you set your mind to something, Katie, your ADHD comes out.
Yeah.
Like, you know, when you want
when
a
you and I are
specific video.
brainstorming.
We're brainstorming. It's like, you know, a lot of things come in, and sometimes the things that come in, like, you know, I can't even answer some of the things that are coming in.
And I don't even expect you to.
Yeah,
which I think
before
you and I are good.
roll.
You and I are good at talking now, where like Brian and I will get on the phone, and if we're having a brainstorming session, I'm sure it sounds like two psychos, because we don't even finish the sentence. Like I'll be like, have you thought about, no, you know what, actually I'm thinking over here, there's a guy, you know what, I'm not sure, does this sound crazy to you? And you're like, no, go on. Like,
you know, and sometimes it works out.
Yeah.
It works out. Actually, more often than not, it works out. We can't, like, you know, we got the live show coming up. We're gonna come up. We come up with bits for that, like how we're gonna do it. You know, on the phone. I prefer to do it on the phone because you don't get lost in the communication.
Yeah.
You know, it's important not to get lost in the communication.
You don't want to have a communication break.
Yeah, well, you know, things happen.
You
get lost when you get lost in the communication. Things happen, and that could be detrimental to people.
It can be,
you know.
But
so,
there is like there's things I wasn't thinking about. I guess you think about them, but you don't think about them in that context, where they're like people that have ADHD in relationships, and I was like, oh, fuck.
ADHD in relationships is a big thing. Yeah,
like
it can be very troublesome.
It's a normal feeling to get bored of a relationship when it starts to feel stable, and then you fuck it up. And I was like, oh my God, I've literally I'm always just like, after sometimes I just know from the get it's not good, but other times it's like, yeah, after 2-3 years I'm like, well, this is boring. You know what I mean? Like, if nothing else is happening.
Yeah, Josh, you're right. You're right at that 2-year mark,
baby.
It was good knowing you, baby.
Point at the car again, bitch.
She goes, you can't just be pointing. I go, you literally asked me where to go, and I go, the sign's right there.
So to pull a Josh, what I said was, do I go straight here? And that was back there. And then we were on to something new.
Well, we weren't. We didn't know where to go still. Well,
I've noticed that's a thing with Katie as well. When you'll be talking about something, and then boom, now you're on to something new.
Oh, yeah.
Something completely different. And then whatever you were talking about before gets lost. We're done.
Yep.
And know, and whatever was talked about before, whatever that information was or wasn't there, is gone. And then at times, I don't know if you do this, Katie, do you ever just like imagine that whatever the conversation was happened in real life?
Oh, yeah. You and I have done that, where I've been like, did you and I actually talk about this? And sometimes you say yes, and sometimes you say no.
Yeah.
What the heck are you guys talking about right now? What do you mean? Do you imagine it happened in real life?
I know. So because when I make a to-do list in my mind,
like you have dreams that you're having conversations, and then you're like, was that real?
I'll be sitting there, like I'm at work and I'm doing a work task, but I know I have to talk to Brian afterwards. I will imagine what the conversation will go like. And then a day later, I cannot remember if I actually talked to him, or did I think about talking to him?
I'm not a doctor, but I feel like some of these things aren't necessarily, they could be ADD. It could just be that you're kind of a weirdo.
No, it's a little bit of both, because I've done that. I've done that where like
It's
we've
not like,
talked.
oh, did I go to a restaurant and have lunch with someone? It's just like the amount of thoughts I have in a day is like 10,000 thoughts. So if I do talk to Brian and it wasn't about the one thing that I was thinking about earlier, my brain will be like, okay, I know there's a memory of thinking about talking about it. Did we actually cover that in the conversation, or was that something you were supposed to bring up and you didn't?
Yes.
I don't know if that makes sense, Frank.
That
Like
makes sense.
if I don't talk to Brian all day, then I'm not like, did we have a conversation yesterday?
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought you mistake your daydreams for reality.
No.
Okay.
No.
All right.
No.
I was gonna be like, because that could be troublesome if that
Yeah,
was a
no,
real
no.
thing.
But think about it. Like,
Yeah.
there have been conversations that we've had in the group text where it's like, oh, what are we going to name this Patreon episode? Or what are we going to name this episode?
Yeah,
and we'll
you
talk
don't even
about it.
remember they existed.
And then we start talking about other stuff in the text. And then, a couple hours later, I'm like, what did we say the name of that episode was going to be? And we never really did it. But in my head, it's going to be called Katie's Couch or, whatever the fuck.
The other
Katie's
thing
Couch.
Katie's
It's
Couch.
a Roald Dahl book.
Couch Surfing Katie by Roald Dahl. Josh, has Katie's ADHD affected the relationship at all?
Sure, but honestly, not as detrimentally, because like the little argument we had that we cited here a couple times was one of the worst arguments we've ever had, and it's not that bad.
Yeah, no,
So.
I think, Josh, you're very patient and tolerable of her disability.
and I'm patient about his disability.
What one do I have? I don't have one.
You're undiagnosed being on the spectrum.
Nah, I'm just cool. I'm just undiagnosed, way too cool.
But I notice this happens at work a lot, but it does happen in the relationship too. Where does this happen to you guys? If you want an answer to something, your brain cannot handle any other conversation until you get the answer to the one question that you want.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's
and it's
happened to me.
it's a barrier. Like, I'm trying to focus and I literally am like, it hurts me to hear anything else.
We've seen that.
It's like an anxiety that I'm going to forget, and then I'll never get the answer.
Yeah. Do you feel that, Josh?
No, not really. Not in the same way, I don't think. I have very few things that drive me to the point of like as far as like an internal thought like that. There's certainly like external things that make me angry.
But there's a lot of ADHD that shows up in everyday life, and sometimes it can be a big deal. It can be a big deal. I mean, at the time you don't think it's a big deal, but then you find out it's a big deal. A decision that you made in ADHD.
I went down like a Reddit deep dive of people's like first day on Adderall, and they all were like, I felt like Bradley Cooper in Limitless.
Yeah, that's what I feel like. Yeah,
it is like that.
I love it. That's exactly what it's like, and you're gonna feel like that, Katie. You're gonna feel like Bradley Cooper in Limitless, not just like Lady Gaga on A Star Is Born with me.
She was doing pretty good though. I'm okay with that.
But
I wouldn't recommend other people do this, but if you really want to amp up the Limitless feeling, I once took my normal Adderall dose and someone gave me half of a modafinil.
Okay,
and those together.
Frank, you're sober now. We don't need to be mixing Adderall and daffodils.
It's another prescription drug. They give it to like fighter pilots so they don't fall asleep and shit.
Okay.
And
what if you just live your whole life clean and sober and you feel like Bradley Cooper from Limitless all
Baby,
the
you
time?
have to take a nap every day.
It must be nice. It must be nice to have that brain, Josh. It must be nice to have that brain.
Nap without limits, baby.
Yeah, must be nice to have that brain. But before I lose my ADHD, just another reminder, we do have that show January 22nd at the Elbow Room.
It's in West Hartford, Connecticut, you guys. If you are in the Hartford area or Connecticut or Mass in general,
or if you just want to drive there.
Just drive. Please come visit us. We would love to see you guys. We're looking for audience submissions of Creepy Corner messages that we can read live. We're going to have some of our own that we already have from people. We're going to have stand-up. We're going to have audience games.
There'll be chairs. We're going to be sitting in chairs.
Microphones.
Cats and dogs living together.
It's going to be a great time. And if you don't live close to Connecticut and you want to see us, we're going to be in Jacksonville, Florida, doing a show. Yeah. Katie,
keep your eyes peeled.
Can you go back in the text and find out the date of that show?
Yeah, it's April 22nd.
No, go back in the text and see when we confirmed that date.
I don't even know what the date is myself.
I have the date on my calendar.
What is it?
It's
No,
April
you
20.
you have it in the calendar, but if you go back in the text,
I don't know what you're doing right now.
So this is something from I don't know if it's Katie's ADHD, is that she doesn't like it when I try to present a puzzle to try to get her to solve
yeah, no.
like an issue that I think she can solve on her own. She just goes, I don't know, why don't you just tell me what it is?
Yeah.
That's literally what I'm talking about.
Would
What's an
you
example
like
of a
us
puzzle
to
you've
tell you
given her?
would you like us to solve the puzzle for you?
I mean, it's April 23rd, so I don't know what you're doing.
Katie, when you had bought those tickets, we had never confirmed the date. Katie has plane tickets to Jacksonville.
I told you guys I'm going to buy those tickets for that date, and you said, okay, sounds good.
No. We went
Yeah.
back. We went back to the group text
Why didn't you guys tell me don't buy them yet?
because I have a little timeline as to what happened.
But why
Because
didn't
I
you
knew-
say
Oh,
don't
no.
buy them?
She's gonna hate
Because
this
To be
it's
fair,
timeline.
I didn't even read these texts till after this took place.
Because after this all happened,
You
I had
said
to go
nothing.
back.
You said things like, all right, how about if we play a game? How about if we play a game on the podcast and the winner gets a free flight? We can make it a bit.
Because I didn't know how to break the news to you in a text that we hadn't confirmed the show yet. So last Friday, you told us about your points. You bragged about the points a lot. Katie has a lot of
Yeah.
Southwest points, everybody.
Yeah.
We talked about, and then we were just talking about looking at flights. And you said,
I mean, if you're going to get tickets now, I would say get it for the Thursday because I'm going to try to tack on that Friday somewhere. To me, that's you telling me to get them for that date.
No, we had never confirmed that date.
You literally just said if you're going to get tickets, get them for this day.
I thought we would just see that here's where the ADHD comes in because we were having two different conversations.
Because I said, I just need to know if we're flying in Thursday or Friday. And you said, get them Thursday.
But I didn't know what week we were talking about. Or
I
just
don't
looking
know.
at
To me,
different weeks.
would you think that?
Yeah,
Josh,
I can
as
see.
a judge,
And I went back.
I don't know. I don't know. What week are you talking about?
But as a neurotypical brain, if someone said to you, I just need to know if we're flying in Thursday or Friday.
So then, as far as Thursday and Friday of what week? Of like, is it Thursday the 21st or Thursday the 14th?
So when you sent the text, okay, I bought my tickets. I land in Jacksonville Thursday. I texted Frank on the side.
Brian wrote, hold on a minute.
Hold on, wait, hold on. Let me read.
Hold on, Brian.
Hold on, wait.
Jesus
Let me
finish.
Hold on, let me finish. Hold on, let me do this.
No,
you're gonna read this. You're gonna read this. Hold on, wait. You're gonna read this.
We need a talking stick.
You're gonna read this part. I know exactly what you're saying.
What is it gonna say? The part where you said
wait,
nice.
Yes, but before that, I have to tell you that I texted Frank and I said, we never said
how
a
about
date.
instead of texting Frank, you text me?
I said, because I didn't know how to break the news. And Frank goes, no, I don't believe we did say it. This is in a separate text. I don't believe we did say the dates. We never did say the date of the show.
Why were you acting like a girl?
We never said what it
I would have
was.
said, don't buy the tickets yet. What is this?
Just
acted like a girl.
And then he says, just tell her. He goes,
girls
tell her
just let
nice or
people
something.
buy stuff all willy-nilly.
Hold on a minute. Why would you write back nice?
Because you didn't let me finish what Frank said. So I texted Frank. I said, we never said the date. And Frank goes, no, I don't believe we didn't say the date. We said dates, but we never said what the specific date of the show was. Just tell her nice or something. And then that's when I went back and I said nice. And then you bragged about having enough points for another flight.
No. You said to me, ready? I know it's late, but I got the Jacksonville show. Do you want to do April 16th or 23rd? And I said, let's do 23rd. And you said, all right. Now that we have a show, I'm going to pitch them on the 23rd. That to me sounds pretty good.
We have the room in Jacksonville. Just need to settle a date, but they're open to the show.
You said all right. If you give me two choices and I say 23rd and then you write all right.
So here's what I think happened is that you wrote fuck yeah, and then he already started typing his response before.
Oh, that could be the case.
That could be the case. And that's where
his response is only to that, and then he probably didn't pay attention.
Yeah, so it could have been lost, the ADHD lost in communication.
I don't know, because to me, if I say At 10:42, I wrote, let's do the 23rd. And at 4 minutes later, you wrote, all right.
Look how long his message is, though.
What did I say? All right.
All right. The only thing is that the 23rd is that the airlines are only doing flights until the 24th, which is Sunday.
Yes.
Okay. That to me doesn't say we're not doing that date.
Katie, you'll be happy to know that the show is in fact the 23rd.
I mean, I already thought it was like 2 weeks ago.
Honestly,
When you said, all right.
but it wasn't.
And in every message, me and Frank said, do not do the Easter Sunday weekend. Do the other weekend.
I know. But it is the 23rd.
What's wrong with you?
I know.
And I know. So
I know.
So April
You're like,
23rd.
yeah.
April 23rd, we will be.
You're like,
at
wow,
the,
Katie, you got really lucky that I said things like, all right, let's do the 23rd.
It was misleading.
Nice.
It was misleading.
That sounds good.
But I think that's a perfect example of ADHD in text messaging.
Yeah. I think at this point is that like it seems gray, even though you thought it was clear one way and he thought it was clear the other way.
The thing is, Josh usually tells me that I over confirm stuff. So like,
oh no, you definitely over confirm stuff.
Yeah.
That's definitely a thing you do.
But
are
hey,
you being sarcastic? I don't
we're
know.
going to
No, it's 100%
Jacksonville, you guys.
Yeah.
We're going to
Yay,
Jacksonville.
Jacksonville.
So Jacksonville, Florida. We're going to the Southern Swells
Yeah.
Brewing Company in Jacksonville Beach. So if you live
I'm
in near
flying in on
Jacksonville,
the Thursday, you guys, and I'm flying out on the Sunday, and Brian thinks that's nice.
Yeah.
Katie, my whole goal for
Yeah.
this was to have you return the tickets on air and then
no,
have
I
me
wouldn't
tell
do
you.
that.
Yeah. I knew you wouldn't.
I like Brian's line read of yeah was like in Goodwill Hunting where he's like, it's not your fault.
It's not your fault.
It's not your fault.
It's not your fault, Katie. Katie,
Like,
it's not your
I don't
fault.
know. Can we talk about this? There's a 10-minute window from when I say I'm going to book flying in, and then you don't say anything. You write, yeah, we definitely need to maximize the trip.
We do. I already got a bit of...
I think you're misunderstanding Brian's point of this tale. Isn't that he's like, you're definitely wrong or whatever? Is that ADHD is a
running rampant in your brain?
Exactly.
That is a very ADHD.
Because while it's true that there were things that might lead Katie to think, all right, I'm going to get the date, it is also true that it wasn't confirmed at that time, and you jumped the gun a little
Frank,
bit.
do you agree when he said you want to do the 16th or the 23rd, and I said the 23rd, and he said, all right. Would that be confirmed to you?
No. Because
in my
it's
defense,
asking us about what date to ask the venue about.
Right. So then you never said like, okay,
Oh.
I told them the 23rd and they said yes.
And in my defense, when I book a show, am I not the most detailed person when it comes to that show as far as times and places and all that stuff? I'm very good with that stuff.
Yeah, but I don't know. So if it was me and I thought that you guys were planning something that wasn't confirmed, I would have written back, all right, don't book anything yet until I get a final date.
But I think in that moment, I mean, whatever it was.
Maybe your ADHD was
no,
like, I'm
I
not
think in
paying
that
attention
moment,
to the fact that she just told me I was going to book something.
You were so ADHD in that moment. It was, I'm looking at flights, need flights, got to get flights, I want flights. What about this flight?
ADHD like a motherfucker.
You are ADHD and like a motherfucker. Did you have your period last week? I've been meaning to ask you that.
No.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, wow. I thought you did.
I didn't. Did you have yours?
No, I thought you had yours.
Oh.
And
no, honestly, we've been talking about the flights. The problem was every time I looked, there were less available. And so the day that you and I talked, I said there's only one ticket left at that time. And you wrote, nice.
Nice. You got it. You got it, baby. We're going to Jacksonville on a Thursday.
Yeah.
That's it, baby.
Yeah. So that's it. Jacksonville, April 23rd, Southern Swells Brewing Company in Jacksonville Beach. We'll have a ticket link up soon.
Yeah.
Once it's up, you'll know it's up.
But more importantly, you guys, because this is happening more quickly, January 22nd, West Hartford, Connecticut. Please buy tickets for that. If you guys are a Patreon member, you can go for free. And $15 for everybody else.
What do they have to show to prove?
They have to be on the list of Patreons.
Yeah. Message us on Patreon and we will put you on our guest list. So it's $15 for a ticket. If you use promo code Whalers, you get $5 off. And if you just join our Patreon, you can come to the show for free. So there's that, and that's that. And right now, I think it's time for us to go. We heard about Kate. Our adventure is going to be to Jacksonville and Connecticut, and we're going to go hear about another adventure for James and the Giant Peach from a Patreon member, Nick DiCarlo. He requested
Excellent
that.
choice, Nick.
Yeah, it was
Very
a
good choice.
You know what
You gotta
I'd
love a
like to
peach.
say about Nick's choice? Nice.
Nice.
It was nice.
Yeah.
And we wish
Yeah.
we could. We wish we could accompany this with a video, but there's no recording of it.
I'm sorry.
There is no recording of the thing that has not yet taken
that has
place.
not yet taken place. So.
We did not yet record the thing we won't record.
Yeah.
So without any further ado, here is James and the Giant Peach. All right, everybody, we are here and we are going to read James and the Giant Peach from Patreon member Nick DiCarlo. He signed up for our daddy level Patreon and chose James and the Giant Peach to write.
Which I have to be honest, Brian, when we made up these levels, I was like, nobody's going to sign up for these, first of all. So we'll make them as wild as possible. And then I was like, and if they do sign up, I'm like, I hope the people that sign up pick good movies. And I know you were stressed out about it too. And Nick sent me the message of what movie he wanted to do, and I was like, fuck yes. And I sent it to you, and you lost your mind.
Yeah, this was a good pick. This was a good pick by Nick.
Yeah. Good pick, Nick. That's what we call him.
Good pick, Nick.
In college, baby.
Good pick, Nick. A few notes before we get into this.
Well, we can.
What?
Guys, we record this part by ourselves alone. We would have already said that, Brian.
What?
We would have already said that. What note are you going to say? The Patreon subs?
No, I'm going to say that you have to read your narrator part whimsically.
Oh, you're giving us roles now.
You're giving us stage directions.
I'm giving you direction.
What does it mean to read something whimsically?
You know, like not like a fucking zombie. Like, you know.
I feel like how what's her name in Lord of the Rings reads like the narration in the beginning.
Yeah, like the motherfucker from the movie.
Oh, just do the Lord of the Rings? Okay.
Yeah, however you can do it. Just make it whimsical. James, Frank, you're gonna be James.
I figured as much.
In an English accent.
And you have to have an English accent.
That's gonna go really good.
Josh has 30 parts, but so do you.
I only have
No,
two.
baby, you have 3 parts.
Does a decent English accent.
Josh has 3 parts.
Oh, I do. Yeah, okay.
Josh's Auntie Gladys, Auntie Sally Jane, and Nick DiCarlo, and they all need 3 different voices.
Okay.
All right.
And I'm going to be Willem Dafoe, Gilbert Godfrey, Louis Anderson,
Just the usual.
Yeah.
and Frank Gazzaro. I'm going to be Frank Gazzaro.
Wow.
Oh, that won't get confusing.
Frank Gazzaro as played by Brian.
Wow.
I can't wait to see how this plays out.
I can't wait to see how this plays out either. I read this 2 weeks ago. Since then, I read it once last week when we were recording, and I haven't looked at it since. So I'm very much excited to do this.
And there's no way it'll be confusing with you playing Frank playing James with an English accent, and Josh playing 3 people.
And I have 5.
Oh, he's got 5.
This is going to be a fucking train wreck and a half.
Here we go, baby.
Nick DiCarlo, this is for you.
This is for you, Nick. Thank you for signing up.
So this is the winner. I'm sorry. Yeah, okay, I got it. Yep.
And if anybody else wants to sign up and pick a movie for me to get high and rewrite, and then for us to review, you can go to patreon.com/wickedfunnypodcast.
We have a limited number of the daddy levels available, and they're flying off the shelves faster than I thought they would.
Only 10 left. Get yours as soon as possible. So without any further ado, it is time.
Wait, hold on. Also, you wrote James and the Giant Peach, written by Brian Barry.
Yeah, I talked to text, and Brian Barry is what came out, and also it's James and the Giant Peach.
I did see and
in the Giant Peach.
Well, this is James in the Giant Peach. So
okay.
Here we go.
Without
any further ado, James in the Giant Peach.
All this shit. Wait, sorry. I had to start over. I was too worried about being whimsical. I'm sorry, Nick DiCarlo. Here we go.
That was a good start, though.
Yeah. Okay, ready?
Yep.
All right. This shit is James in the Giant Peach. It starts out like this. A bus pulls up to a house, and out of the bus walks a little motherfucker. He's like 8. And he's got a backpack, and he's got a balloon, and he's got like a trunk, like a travel trunk, not like an elephant trunk. He's got all this shit with him, and he's dressed like, you know, a fucking kid. He's in overalls is what he's wearing. He's in overalls. He's got his trunk of shit, and his name is James. The house itself, for the sake of arguing, looks like the house from Family Members. Remember the house from Family Matters? It's the house from Family Matters. But only it was on top of a hill, and in front of the house stood these two ladies. They were James's aunts, and they stood shoulder in shoulder, welcoming James with smiles on their faces. Gladys stood short with brown hair, wrapped in a babushka. And she was delightful, is Betty White. And Sally Jane, who stood tall as an oak tree and skinny as a twig, waving her arms, greeting her young nephew. You see, James was sent to live with his aunts after his parents died. So he was also holding an urn with his dead parents' ashes in them. James's aunts adopted him. James loved his aunts, and his aunts loved him. James would visit his aunts often. They would play all sorts of games together and toast marshmallows, and James would frolic in the woods that lived beyond the hill of the house. James would hop with the grasshoppers, float with the butterflies, and sting with the bees. He was like Christopher Robin up in this bitch. James's aunts greeted him and gave him a big hug. They brought him inside and fixed them a nice warm meal. And then the three of them went outside to plant a peach pit seed. A peach was is Mom's favorite fruit, you see. James's aunt also liked peaches, but it was a different kind of peach. So they planted peach seed and added some if James' parents' ashes, knowing that tree will grow, and James will always have a place to see a piece of his parents. And then this whole montage of the tree growing happens, right? But it happens overnight. Overnight, this tree grew like pretty big, like the size of a Christmas tree. And then in the morning, James and his aunts go outside, and they were just looking at this tree. And Sally Jane was like,
"How long does it take a tree to grow?" By golly, it got to be the size of a hoof foot overnight. What do you think, Gladys? I think your parents are making this tree grow mighty tall. It's going to be a strong tree, just like them and just like you, James.
After breakfast, James went outside, and what had happened was he was hip-hopping with his grasshopper friend, and as he hopped towards the tree, he noticed there was already a motherfucking peach grown out that branch. And he ran inside, excited to tell his aunts.
Auntie, glad as Auntie, Sally Jane, there's already a peach growing out of the tree. I can't believe it.
We're gonna make a peach cobbler by Saturday.
And then Saturday came, and wouldn't you know, they were making peach cobbler. This tree grew within a week. I don't know how long a peach tree take to grow, but this grew fast, and the peaches were delicious. Auntie Gladys and Auntie Sally Mae started selling peaches at the farmer's market. One night, they were counting the double-digit 1,000 stacks at the kitchen table. James said to his aunts,
You know, we pick the peaches off the tree every day. I sound Australian.
I love it. Keep going.
But what if
Go
we
with your
grew
English
it
accent.
out and entered it in the state fair? We surely win prize for biggest peach.
James and his aunts all looked at each other and decided. And that's what they did. They let a peach grow. They let it grow to the size of a softball, and then the size of a grapefruit, and then the size of a cantaloupe, and that motherfucker just kept on growing. James went to bed the night before the state fair, excited to wake up first thing in the morning and enter his award-winning peach into the Bigot Peach Contest. You
All the
never,
examples are pretty much the same size to begin with.
you never think one little S would make such a big
Softball
difference.
grapefruit.
The next morning, James woke before anybody in town to see the peach was the size of a house. James went outside to inspect his massive ass peach. And as he was walking around in all of this thing, he heard a voice.
Hey, James, we're over here.
Who's there? Who's there?
As James circled the peach, he saw a stairway lead to a hole in the peach, and out popped a grasshopper with a top hat.
Hey, James' wife. I've been waiting for you, boy. Come inside the peach. We gotta tell you something.
Your?
Name's Willem the Grasshopper, and I'm the one you've been hopping with all those times, and we all live inside this peach is what we do.
You all do?
Yes, it's me, Frank the Caterpillar, Gilbert the Fly, Louis Anderson, and Nick DiCarlo.
Who's Nick DiCarlo?
He's the Patreon member to the Wicked Funny podcast. He was the one that picked this movie. We don't know how he ended up in the peach, but he sleeps on the couch. Come on in and leave your shoes on. We're in a peach. The floors are soggy.
And James crawled in the peach to find his dope as chill spot that Frank the Caterpillar and Louis Anderson. And on a couch, wouldn't you know it Nick DiCarlo taking a nap.
Make yourself at home, James. Pull up a seat.
As James was sitting down, everybody was creeping and crawling and sliding in towards James to welcome him to the peach. And as Gilbert the Fly flew in with a cake.
You're finally here. Thank God. We baked you a cake. Thanks for the peach.
Do you want to try that line again?
You're finally here. Thank God. We baked you a cake saying thanks for the peach.
You're welcome.
James, your peach tree is helping feed my colony forever. So many ants ate the peach leaves from this tree. So many ants. It's so many. I'm a fly. I have an expectancy of a day. I've been flying around for a week in this. It is incredible. I'm like 1,000 years old in fly years. I'm a caterpillar. I don't buzz around. I don't talk. I drink and I watch Nick DiCarlo sleep.
So you all ate the peach, and it's all helped you out?
That's what happened. I had the peach and my legs got stronger and the hops got longer, and one day I woke up to be the size of a full-grown midget.
And what about you, Nick DiCarlo? Did you eat the peach?
Nah. I just kind of woke up inside the peach. Pretty much just stay on the couch and I sleep. Help these guys bring in the carpets and a few pieces of decor that day. But I just pretty much came with the peach and sleep on the couch.
Well, I'm glad you're here.
Me too, bro. Oh, it made me lightheaded.
You're giving your life for this performance.
That's right.
James?
You're up, Frank.
Oh, sorry. So I highlighted my name, and now I didn't highlight that one. So are all the animals around here this pig?
No, it's just us. We're the only ones that have benefited from the peach. All the other peaches, all the other days have been picked before we've had a chance to eat them.
Willem, so why aren't all the animals eating the peach?
Because we are all the representatives of the area's insects. Only one person from each species of insect is allowed to eat the peach, and then in return, they get to use the benefits of the peach tree for the colony, however they seem fit. It's a perfect balance of cohesiveness and unity.
That's amazing.
Yeah, we've been wanting to thank you, but we need the peach to be big enough. And now that is here, peach size of a full-grown house. You can come inside this peach and we can throw a peach party for you, James.
And boy, did they party. Willem de Grasshopper was playing with his fiddle, and James was dancing with Gilbert the Fly. Frankie Caterpillar drank his full of whiskey in the corner and got belligerent for a bit, said a few racist things to nothing too crazy, but everybody was having the time of their life. Meanwhile, Sarah Jane and Gladys were waking up and calling motherfucking tow truck companies to get the peach, because they were definitely still planning on taking this thing to the fair. So they're trying to get cranes and shit so they can move it. Unbeknownst to them, James is having a fucking party on the inside with a bunch of bugs and shit.
I'm having the time of my life. Thank you for the party, everybody. Frank, put down your Tupperware container full of whiskey and come join the party.
I can't put it down. I have to drink it. I can't put it down. Oh, when everybody hears this line, they're gonna know why you're laughing.
Oh, God.
I'm dead.
All right. So as Frank the Caterpillar, I can't put it down. I have to drink it. I have to drink it in moderation when I get the shakes. So I'm fine right now. I'm not an alcoholic.
I can't.
Hey James, grab my legs. I love it.
I'm dying. Oh my god, I'm dying. Okay. Woo. Okay.
The dragon.
The dragon is here.
Okay. Oh. And then Gilbert the Fly swooped in and James held onto his legs while Gilbert flew him all around that motherfucking peach, zip zooming all around the room and oh my god, I'm dead. Okay. Meanwhile, outside the house, the aunts were getting all the cranes and shit situated so that they can pick up this motherfucking bitch and take it to the fair so they could win their goddamn blue ribbon for the biggest peach. And as they were swapping those hooks and swooping the bands and shit around the crane, around the motherfucking peach, and attach the crane to the straps, and the fucking shit goes slipping out the pizza slide. And then on the inside of the peach, everybody just thought it was part of the party.
Did anybody feel that? It felt like the peach is moving. I felt the peach move. I definitely felt the peach move.
That's just your imagination. The room is rocking. We ain't moving. I believe Louis Anderson is right. I felt a little twist and the room let me go. Check it out.
And Willem went hopping to the door, and no sooner as he put his head out the window, the peach began to roll, and Willem had to suck his head back in and inside, or else he would have got decapitated by the rolling peach. And the peach started rolling down the hill like a motherfucker. And it's bouncing off shit, and everybody inside was bouncing up and down. The whole time, Nick DiCarlo still sleeping on the motherfucking couch. This guy can sleep through anything. He's just sitting there like, fuck it. And the peaches... And the peach is hitting cars instead of Carlos is Bounce Nell Road. And James is lesbian aunts of chasing down the street, yelling at the PGA on added to slow down like it's going to slow down. But it's not going to slow down because it's a big ass peach. And they keep yelling, slow down, slow down, slow down. But it's not snowing. This shit is bouncing. Bounce, 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 bounce. And it's rolling. And it's going to kick it. Looks like it's going to run over a bunch of kids, but then it gets hit by a bus and go down to the street, and then it's another thing that goes bouncing down. Everything goes up hills and down hills, left, right, and then it goes rolling towards the motherfucking face. Yes, it does. So this thing is rolling towards the fair, full throttle, and it's rolling towards the fair. Everybody's like, holy shit, it's a big, giant motherfucking peach coming to kill us. It's a little funkyard. The peach rolls, and it stops right at the biggest bitch fucking motherfucking stand. Holy shit. Where they have the biggest peach contest. It just rolled up like that's where it was supposed to go. Inside the peach, everybody was getting up and dusting themselves off. Nick DiCarlo just gently pooped his pillow and went back to sleep.
What happened to everyone? Is everybody okay?
I'm never drinking again. That was too much. That was intense, and I didn't like it. Oh no, Gilbert. Are you okay, Gilbert? I believe I'm dying. I got bounced. I got bounced around too much. My wing got caught in the antlers on the deer head above the fireplace, and it timed my wing, and now my wing is all fucked up, and I'm gonna die. You can't, Gilbert. You're the oldest fly in the world. You can't die. I'm going to the big fly paper in the sky.
And then Gilbert died. And then Gilbert coughed and came back to life.
It was just a false alarm. I'm okay.
As everybody came to inspect the peach, James's aunts finally caught up to it outside, and everybody gathered around the massive peach that just destroyed the town. And as James' aunts were running towards the peach, arriving, trolloping, and down that motherfucking Roganovic, James was crawling out the hole.
James, what are you doing in there? Are you okay?
I'm a little banged up, but I'm fine.
How did you get in there?
A friend let me in.
And out from behind, James, Willems a grasshopper, and Louis Anderson and Gilbert Gottfried the fly came out of the peach, and everybody was shocked at the size of these bugs.
It's okay, everybody. These are my friends. This is Willem 2 Grasshopper and Louis and Jason.
And then James explained to everybody how all bugs work together to use this peach in a cohesive, what do you call it? Terrarium of life. And how Nick DiCarlo sleeps in on the couch in the peach, and everybody was really accepting, and nobody really cared that this peach just destroyed the town. And you know what? The peach won first prize in the biggest peach contest. It beat Peter Patty's peach 3 years running. And Willem de Grasshopper won the potato sack race. And Louis Anderson won the pie eating contest. And Frank Caterpillar just walked around and took in air and didn't live like a slob for once in his life. And then at the end of the day, they all met back at the peach.
I can't believe this massive peach. Yeah, never seen it from the outside. That's a pretty big beach. Who are you? I'm next.
The voice to text really took it over this next line.
Yeah, it really did. What are you next?
Oh my God. I'm next to Carlo. I sleep on the couch. Where did you come from? I just woke up in the peach. You don't think...
I think Josh ran ahead.
Josh is dead.
You don't think? Oh, I'm thinking it.
What are you two thinking?
Well, when we planted the peach tree, we planted it with some of James's parents' ashes. And James's mom was pregnant when she died. So it all makes sense. James's mom's and dad's ashes made the tree pregnant. And Nick DiCarlo was born in the peach. So that makes Nick DiCarlo your brother, James.
A brother. I've always wanted a brother.
Good to meet you, James. I don't know what fucking
Yeah,
accent
where was
change.
that one?
Hold on,
I'm sorry, Nick. That was next to Carlo talking.
Yeah, good to meet you, James. I'm your brother, Nick, I guess.
That's great. Congratulations, you guys. Look at all of us having a great day. Willem with a shiny ribbon from the potato sack race, and Louis Anderson with pile over Little Zamp face. And let's not forget about you, Frank Caterpillar. You at all days without drinking any alcohol and sitting in your own shit. It felt great. I feel great. And look how happy Gilbert the Fly is.
In Gilbert the Fly was doing loop-de-loops, buzzing all around the fair, eating all fucking food and shit. And all the townspeople took turns taking tours of the inside of the peach and everybody's parties outside the peach. And they had a hole down. And the grasshopper was playing the fiddle again. Goddamn Willem loved that fiddle. And the aunts were do-si-doing. Also, there was fireworks going off. Poof, 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 pop, poo, poop. And then the party fizzled down. Fair security was like, all right, everybody has the leave. And everybody was like, yo, you know you didn't tell us for, and now we got to move this big-ass peach. How are we going to move this big-ass peach? And everybody tried to move the big-ass peach. Def Leppard and Willem tried hopping it up the hill. And Gilbert flew into the thing and tried to push it, and it budged, but it never lifted. Nick DiCarlo even got off the couch and tried and couldn't do shit, and it looked like it was going to stay forever, until Frank the Caterpillar huffed and Wim puffed and squirmed in the peach with all his might. It was hopeless.
It's no use. We can't move the peach. We're here forever. Look, even if we're here forever, it's not a bad thing. We live on the fairgrounds now. We get to have this big, beautiful peach. Sure, security is going to be up our ass for loitering, but we can get through it.
And in that moment, all this glittery shit started floating around Frank, and he started elevate in the air and transform into a beautiful ass butterfly. And Franklin, the butterfly, started flying around everything, zooming past Gilbert Godfrey and flying up in the air and soar and come back down. And he's zipping around his friends, and then he latched onto the top of the peach. And he's that lives that motherfucker up high in the air.
Frank the butterfly did it. He's doing it. He's lifted up the peach.
And then everybody jumped onto the peach. I just got to the last line. And then everybody and then everybody jumped onto the peach, and Frank flew them around the world to Paris in the motherfucking Coliseum in Nebraska, and then floated the peach gently down in the spot where James found it in the morning. And that's where the peach stayed, and everybody was friends. James is best friends with these big giant-ass bugs, and the James's aunts would even have the bugs inside for dinner. And Willem, he would play his fiddle every single night while the aunts danced around in the living room.
Finitoes.
Finitos. And that was James and the Giant Peach.
That might have been your best one.
I think I outdid myself on
Yeah.
this one. I say that every time.
I know.
I'm really getting the hang of this.
This time I mean it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I wrote that.
Yeah.
You did, Brian. Good job. Good job. Look at you.
I need you to know that I wrote that while I was
we
in the
know.
hotel in Boston.
Yeah.
When I was going up to see my dad after the surgery. If anybody wants to hear about that, it's on an episode that Katie hated in the Patreon.
I banished it to the Patreon.
She banished it to the Patreon. So if you want to hear about my dad's open heart surgery, it's on the Patreon.
It wasn't as much about your dad. It was more about you.
Well, a lot of shit went down. But
Yeah.
I ate one of Russ's dank bars, 400 milligrams. And not only did I
Crazy.
write this, but I acted out every single line in the hotel room.
So when you were writing it, you have to say it out loud?
So I hold my phone and I'm like, and the peach was flying, he's bouncing up and down, he's moving, and then there was fireworks. That's why sometimes you see two ants, because it's like ants.
Oh, yeah, we know.
And there was fireworks. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's how I do it.
All
That's how I
right.
do it. And so I hope everybody enjoyed James and the Giant Peach.
That was
I sure
great.
did. And if you want to hear more about James and the Giant Peach, we are actually going to go break down the actual movie,
Yeah.
which, and again, some similarities.
You actually
some
did
not.
pretty good.
Some similarities. For not seeing the movie, I
Yeah.
think I did a-okay. I think I
Yeah.
did a-okay. So we'll be over on the Patreon. Katie, do you want to close out with anything
Yeah.
fun or special?
You guys know the drill. Thank you again to our Patreon subscribers. We love you all. Thank you so much. We actually did have one Patreon subscriber who designed a t-shirt, and I ordered it for me and Josh that says "My meatloaf is moist."
That's beautiful.
But yeah, you guys keep sharing. We really, really appreciate it. Anyone you share it with is a huge help to us. If you put it in your Instagram stories, if you just tag us in posts, if you tell people you match with on dating apps, that's a little bit of a brag to Brian, but it's okay. Do it. And just follow us on all the social media at Wicked Funny Podcast. Again, we love you guys so much. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for listening. And we will see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody. Love you. Bye.